When will the politicians, currently considered the front runners for the Republican nomination, stop pandering to the war machine and allow our soldiers to come home alive? We hear a lot of talk about how we need to stay in Iraq until we have won, or that we owe it to our men and women in uniform to allow them the opportunity to come home with their heads held high. It has been said that the only way to do that is to plant a flag in downtown Baghdad and claim it as a spoil of victory. I didn't realize there was any reason for foot soldiers to be ashamed of the failures of the war pigs that are leading them to their deaths. Yet none of these so-called leaders of men will tell you what exactly winning is. None of them have a plan for victory, and of course if they did, they wouldn't share that with us, because according to them, we aren't in the business of giving our enemies our battle plans or methods of torture, because then we would be supplying them with the means to prepare themselves. That should tell you something, like the fact that they simply do not know. How can you win anything if you're merely a referee? How can you claim that we owe a 100-year war to the troops so that they can come home with dignity long after we're all dead? Well, when weighing the options of coming home with heads hung low or dying in a desert, it seems that over 70% of those polled said they want out. And they want out now. They don't want to come home in a box strapped to the belly of a 747 bound for Dover. Our job was to go into Iraq and secure the weapons of mass destruction, which were gone for months, if not years, prior to our invasion. We 100% guaranteed know they did at one point have horrific weapons of war. How do we know that, you ask? Because we were Iraq's chief supplier of WMDs in the early 80s when they were the enemy of our enemy, which of course made them our friend. As it turned out, even those antiquated weapons systems and munitions were gone. After it was shown that we allowed a war to be waged in our names under false pretenses, and there was nothing in country that posed an apocalyptic threat to anyone, our job now changed to capturing and executing Saddam Hussein. Because that would fix everything, they told us. Once that objective was reached, though, and things still didn't take a turn for the better, our job became to protect the fledgling puppet government from being overthrown. And of course, no benchmarks were set or met because we didn't want to upset the delicate balance of emerging democracy. As we were helping to fuel the Civil War by allowing American business interests to cut oil deals with localized tribes, Iraq's infrastructure continued to fail, and it was decided that the large amount of al-Qaeda and other insurgent groups were seizing control of the new Iraq. So it was decided that more young American heroes should be sent to their deaths to keep the oil supply lines open and a stream of new weaponry flowing into the country, as well as allowing the current administration to save face by never having to admit defeat. What I ask you all to realize is this. Even if there were a single shred of evidence showing that we actually were succeeding at anything in Iraq, instead of simply lowering the bar so far we can now get our collective chin over it, this does not by any means allow any rational thinker to claim victory. We need to bring home our troops from everywhere in the world. If it makes the neocon chicken hawks feel better, we can set aside 7 days for a military appreciation week. We can give every returning soldier a check for $250,000 and give them absolute tax exemption as well as medical and mental health benefits for 10 years. I'd be willing to bet that each and every soldier currently in theater would be more than willing to chalk up Iraq as a loss for that sort of incentive package. And it would cost us far less than it does to keep the war machine going for a week. Let's bring them home alive now, instead of in a coffin later. I'm Jared Ollinger, and I thank you for your time.